Hi, this is Angel Jones. I love great conversations where life's journey is communicated not only through words, but tones and emotions. Explosive expressions that allow you to feel what they felt and learned. A fool learns only from his own mistake, while the wise learn from their own and from those others have made. Thanks for being here with us. Good morning, Brandon Allen. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm good.
Hey, it's a great pleasure to connect with you, man. Thanks for passing through. Thanks for supporting the goal of 1,509 conversations in 3 months.
Hey, my pleasure.
So tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us meeting?
Well, I think you guys may have heard my podcast or ran across that from some point in time. I have a podcast called New Work Revolution, and I'm thinking that is what brought us together.
It's so much more. It's so much more. Let's drill down. Why are you doing the podcast you were doing?
You know, the podcast really serves a couple of different functions for me. Number one, I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. It's great to have touch points and support and information and education that my clients can get from me when we're not on the phone talking. And so it's great to have those touch points to give to people. At the same time, there's a lot of things that go on in a work environment from a leadership standpoint that are not very good. Things that I've done as a leader that weren't very good that I like to, but there's not a lot of training and development that happens for young leaders in today's world. And so my podcast is to help them get the information that they need to be great leaders for whatever organization they're leading.
Yeah, so I would say one of the talents you have is definitely providing from a heart-based perspective, like you're providing for people's needs.
Absolutely.
Love it. So who did you learn that skill from?
Well, I first learned it from my own failure. When I got my first leadership assignment when I was 25 years old, I thought I knew everything about leadership and realized that I didn't know anything about leadership after about 9 months of this leadership assignment. My team was not doing very well. The culture of the operation that I ran was not very healthy. Our results were mediocre at best. And I was faced with the decision to get help or get fired. And I decided to get some help. I actually went to a leadership training on coaching, of all things, and how to coach your team for performance. And I never really thought about coaching in the corporate sense. And I learned a lot of stuff about what I was doing that was not empowering my team, that was creating a negative culture. And I decided to take some of those things that I learned, be vulnerable about my own shortcomings, and started to make some changes that ended up working out really well and being positive, and team building became a real strength of mine as a result of that. And that's what I that's where I got the initial point of my training.
It's rather amazing how that path to progress went, that you saw that you needed to help you first to fix you, or probably to tweak you. Let's say more to tweak you first.
Yeah.
before and that is so important and integral with leadership, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about when I do consulting or coaching with a company, I look at the leadership first because the leadership has so much influence and power. So if I have a leader who says, Brandon, my whole team sucks, everyone's terrible, my first question is, what's the common denominator that your team shares? And that is the leadership of the team. And so if your whole team is struggling, that's probably something that I've got to examine within myself as a leader to see, what am I doing or what am I creating here that's putting people in a position to not perform at their best.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm saying I love that just from doing my introspection while you're speaking. It's so, because I've said it, and you say it as an employee, then you become the leader and you forget that is the one thing that turned you off the most about being employed by the employer. It's the leadership, and the qualities.
Absolutely.
Getting the work done is the easiest part, I think. But just being motivated by having good leadership is definitely something that creates a momentum like no other. Why will you continue to repeat this skill?
It's for me, it's just this is what I feel like. When I look at my purpose, someone asked me, okay, well, what is my purpose? And I feel like for me, my purpose is I'm a person of deep curiosity. I love to know how things work and how people work, especially. I love to just see what makes people tick. So if people ask me questions or they say things, I always dig a little deeper to find out what's at the heart of what they're saying and why are they saying it. And so for me, I don't ever foresee me turning that off. It's something that I feel like is just embedded in my DNA, and so I will keep doing that in whatever form or fashion that I'm doing it to continue to find out what makes people tick and help them uh, get to that next level of success for themselves.
I'm so glad that you went through the struggle you went through initially, and I'm so glad that you found that purpose. It seems as though you've definitely connected with it, and thus now you can be able to help so many other people connect with it. Then, if you looked back at you going through that struggle, I could imagine how scary it was. You said 6 months, right? But
Yeah.
it was definitely a foundation layer for where you are now, which is pretty amazing. Love that.
Yeah.
What is one
Great.
thing
Thank you.
you're welcome. What is one thing you've done consistently over the past 3 years?
Consistently over the past 3 years, I would say probably the one thing that comes to mind is just education. I'm always looking for ways that I can educate myself, improve myself so that I can provide more value to the people that I come in contact with. So that is something that I do on a very regular basis.
How does that make you feel?
Really, I mean, I think for me, it just continues to give me confidence and certainty in my ability to provide value to my clients. And, again, it kind of satisfies a deeper need of curiosity and just learning more about the world and how it works.
And how does it make you feel?
Um, I really, I mean, it makes me feel good. I mean, I get energized by doing it.
Why would you suggest someone do what you've done?
Um, really, I mean, when you look at any kind of business that you run, and I've been a business owner now for 8 years, there's a lot of freedom and flexibility in what you do. You can play and work on your terms, not someone else's. Which there's nothing wrong with working for someone else and working in a company, but at the same time, you're bound by certain constraints that come along with that your employer provides. So I love what I do because I get to talk with a lot of different people on a daily basis, and it allows me the freedom and flexibility to do it the way that I feel like is not only best for the way that I create value, but also best for my family.
I love that. Love that. Two books you've authored: The Experience Design and The Management Playbook. What type of write model is that? Like, if I decide I want to read it, is it a corporate style handbook, or is it fun story style?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
They're short books, they're ebooks. One of them, is a giveaway that I have on my website at newworkrevolution.com. So all it costs you is a name and email to get that. I sell the management playbook on Amazon as an ebook, and so you can go get it there. I tell a lot of stories in management about my own successes, my own failures as a manager, what I learned from that, and some of the systems and tools that I utilize to build teams and really connect at a deep level with the teams that I ran. And that I continue to run. And total experience design, there's a lot of stories, different things that I talk about there about how to stand out as a business owner in a market that wants to make you a commodity. Everything, because of the internet is great for a lot of different things, but the internet also makes the danger of being a commodity that much higher. People are more educated, they're more learned about what goes on in the world, and it makes things a lot cheaper to produce, so people are very much apt to compete on price. So your experience that you deliver is really the what sets you apart
The
from
gold.
other businesses. And so
Mm-hmm.
that I just talk about that concept of total experience design in that ebook.
Love that, love that. I spoke to Veronica, I believe, right before you, if I'm not mistaken. I know Veronica was explaining. She said something to the end of the podcast. She said, there's a lot of technology coming out. Be aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be
Absolutely.
aware. Don't run into everything. Let's switch gears, Brandon, for a bit now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Brandon, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, my earliest childhood memories are not good. I grew up in a single parent household. I never knew my dad. My mom was an alcoholic. So my earliest memories of childhood were that of survival.
Wow. How old do you think you were at that first particular memory of just being aware of where you are, what you are?
I would say probably 4 or 5 years old. I have some really distinct early memories of fear, memories of abandonment, all those types of things. So those are some of my earliest memories.
It's intriguing that you've spun that 360 degrees around, or should I say you've used that to really help so many other people. That is pretty intriguing, that you would be the person that comes into leadership and doesn't take that forceful, I can be who I want to be, instead, but learning who my people need me to be.
Well, look, you look at these situations and you can do one of two things. Either you can use that as a path to destruction and say, look, my childhood wasn't ideal, so therefore I'm going to do destructive things that I saw a lot of friends growing up do and get into that led to prison, jail, or even premature death. On the other side, some people take those kinds of things and say, you know what, I'm going to rise up above that and I'm going to show that I'm better. But the problem with that too is that also comes at a price. So I spent so much time in my young life trying to prove to people that I was okay. I didn't want anyone to think that I was screwed up, that my childhood was screwed up. So I tried to be a high achiever at the highest levels all the time. Winning was everything. Looking good was everything, which meant that I lacked vulnerability. I never let people get close to me. I had a limiting belief that said, you can't count on other people. The only people you can count on is yourself, which really started to manifest itself in a negative way when I got married. Then when I started having kids, those things became really challenging because you can't be in a relationship where vulnerability is so important and counting on each other in life and having children and everything else. If you're always looking to protect yourself and your feelings and not letting people in. So it was, I think it really helped spur me in my younger years to a certain place, but it ended up becoming very destructive for me as I became an adult. So there's good things about it, and there were some things about it that weren't so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you share that, man. I don't think anyone has ever gone to that depth on the time machine. But yeah, there's an overlooked concept there, especially where you spoke about, how you could end up being that type person that always wants to look good, and the power of really being vulnerable. It's I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Brandon.
Yeah, my pleasure.
If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song when I was 12. Let's see, that's like 87. 87. Man, my favorite song in 87. That's really hard. I'm a music fan. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what it was. I think this was around 87 when this came out, but Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, I think was like, I think I played that song like over and over again, like millions of times. So, I'm pretty sure around that time that album came out, and I listened to It's My Prerogative tons.
All right, so we've arrived at our destination, Brandon, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. Yes or no? Brandon, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
4.
Ooh, boys and girls?
All girls.
Wow. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
3 hours a week, yeah.
And how about screen time?
More than I should.
Hey, Brandon, it was a great pleasure having you. Before you leave, is there anything you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, look, I mean, hey, I love what you're doing, bringing people together, sharing their story, and I would just say, look, if you're, play big in this world, man. You get one life. Don't be held back by fear. Don't be held back by other people's perceptions of what you can and can't do, and just get out there and live life the way you want to live it.
Love it, Brandon Allen. Thanks I loved it this morning, love this conversation. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me.
Amazing audience. Before you leave, there's one person I'd like to introduce you to, Amanda Jones. She is my wife, and her passion is to educate, encourage, and empower.
Hi, I'm Amanda Jones, and I'm a registered nurse. Do you or someone you know have diabetes? According to the International Diabetes Federation, in 2015 worldwide, 415 million people were living with diabetes. Just as that figure is overwhelming, so too can the effects of diabetes be. So, to help simplify diabetes for both adult and child, I've used rhymes in my books, The ABCs of Diabetes for Children, and Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes. At its simplest, rhymes help us to remember. If you, a child or friend, want an easy, reader-friendly way to know about diabetes, then get a copy of these books. For more details, you can go to poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.